There are only two frameworks for which a real estate agent can try to monetize their database. And 99% of the agents we speak to are getting it wrong. They're using the wrong one. Understanding the distinction between the two is what allowed us to generate over $5 million in GCI opportunities in 2025 alone, without buying more leads, investing in poor CRMs, or actually chasing leads at all. If you have a database, this video will absolutely change how you think about addressing it and finding the deals from within it. And if you're still spending money on lead generation, this video will make it crystal clear on why results from those endeavors feel really unpredictable and volatile. So before we go any further, I want you to think about this. Do you spend most of your marketing budget on lead generation, i.e. buying new leads, or converting the leads that you already have? All right, now let's dive in and let me show you the two models. So this is model one, and this is how most agents end up spending their marketing budget. And I'm not saying this critically. This is literally just the way the industry has evolved, and it's the standard framework for which most agents actually invest back into their business to try and grow and scale it. And that is that money goes out first at the top of funnel. So whether that be advertisements, Facebook leads, Zillow Premier Agent, 80% of the marketing budget is spent on that first step, which is the most volatile and where you have the least amount of control. So that money spent by you creates more leads, which grows a bigger database, but then that database is just being followed up with generic content that doesn't cut through and does not convert. So at the very end, we see a system initially looks very promising, i.e. we have leads coming in, but the actual conversion mechanics and the thing that really drives the needle forward in terms of getting the trust of clients doesn't work. And what it leaves you with is just hope. Hope that someone replies, hope that the timing is just right, or hope that all this effort eventually turns into a deal so you can recoup your money. And that, again, is because you're spending your money at the start of the funnel where you have the least amount of control. The real issue here is not effort, and it's not even lead quality either. It's that your money is being spent before intent is even known, and we're investing your marketing budget in the noisiest, most uncertain point in the process, and then trying to be cheap when it actually matters, which is actually converting the lead. This is why most databases grow, but most businesses plateau and never actually grow their revenues accordingly, because there is no conversion mechanic there with model one. This is the part that agents feel but can't quite articulate, because when you spend money this way before intent isn't actually known, ROI becomes impossible to predict, especially when you have leads coming from a variety of different sources. So you don't know which leads were actually serious, which emails did anything, and which conversations mattered. And that's because nothing is being measured. Everything is spray and pray, because we have such a high volume of leads coming through that we're hoping if we can just hit them all with generic content, some of them will convert. And everything just ends up in the same funnel, this one here. It leaves it impossible for you to actually calculate and predict what's working in your business. It's a mile wide and an inch deep, the efforts. And that funnel leaks, money leaks, attention leaks, time leaks, and most importantly, GCI and deals leak and slip through the cracks. So when we're looking at marketing, and in model two in a second, the key question here is, what is your actual CAC? And CAC is customer acquisition cost, because all of the marketing that you do should be measured by that one simple number. How much dollars can I spend in order to acquire an extra deal? And if that is a fraction of what I'm going to collect from a transaction or a listing, and it's repeatable, then you're onto a winner. But with lead generation and big top of funnel campaigns, this is near impossible to actually predict. And that's why budgets creep up. That's why follow-ups remain generic, because the budget is spent beforehand on lead generation. And that's why most databases feel busy, but don't reliably produce deals. And that's not running a system. That's just spraying and praying and hoping the math works out eventually and you recoup something back. So the real question is, what happens when we actually flip this entire dynamic with model two? And model two is based around this one core concept, which is what's missing isn't leads, it's intent. So intent already exists, it's just invisible. And this diagram here, or this visual rather, is supposed to represent your database, all the leads that you've accumulated throughout the years. And inside every database, intent already exists. Some people are thinking, some people are curious, Some people are quietly preparing for their next transaction or move. But from the outside to you, they all look the same because we have no mechanic to actually get them to raise their hand and to signal to you that they are actually thinking about this move in the near future. And when you can't see intent from within your list, you end up treating all of your leads the same. When in reality, there's people in there that you should be investing a lot more time, energy, resources, and money in, because it is going to pay off big time if you do so. And when everyone gets the same message and the same treatment, no one feels special. And we don't want to make everyone feel special. We just want to identify the people who are looking to transact soon and make them feel extra special. But because we don't do that, databases remain unresponsive, not because people aren't interested, but because the interest is invisible to you. Intent doesn't need to be created, it needs to be surfaced. And once you can see it surfaced from within your own database, everything starts to change in your business. The intent is already there. The challenge is uncovering it before you spend your marketing budget. And this is where everything shifts. So like the problem is not that you don't have leads, it's that you don't know which leads are looking to transact soon. But if we can find those without blowing your money like you had been on the lead generation, we can now reallocate that budget into investing into these green leads here, the ones who have intent in the near future. And because we own this audience, we can do this really, really cost effectively. Inside your database, there's 100% right now people thinking of moving. And if we can identify them and give them an incredible experience, and make this your top of funnel, your business is going to change quickly. And the reason you can't actually find the intent is because generic content doesn't surface intent. It actually suppresses it. Like you're probably doing more harm than good with generic cookie cutter content, drip campaigns, market reports, whatever it might be. And you're probably forced to use these cheaper CRM systems because you've spent all of your money at the top of funnel, meaning you have nothing left for that actual conversion piece. And you're stuck with generic content because there's no budget left to focus on lead conversion. But when we do focus on lead conversion and focusing on what actually gets your database to respond, we're able to yield responses like this. Hi, Ricky, we're getting ready to sell and we would really appreciate sending some of those lists to us. That's because we were creating value-based offers that would get buyers and sellers to raise their hand. And now we have intent surfaced, but we haven't spent a cent yet. So all that is to say is with Model 2, the only database conversion flow that actually scales is when you actually market to your database, the leads that you already own, because we can market these for free. Then we send them high quality content that gets them to raise their hand. And then once intent is revealed, bear in mind, we haven't spent a cent yet. We've revealed the intent for free. We invest in these leads. So we take that money that was previously spent on advertising and instead we use it and we invest it into the leads within your database who are looking to convert right now, are looking to sell right now. And this way you will have a smaller pool of people in which you're investing your money in. It's much easier to measure and you convert a much, much higher percentage with fewer conversations, less noise, and much better outcomes. And just to bring that to life for you, so let's look at these two examples. It's with the exact same marketing budget, but with completely different outcomes. In the older model, we have buying leads and the primary and the majority of the spend being done at the top of the funnel in Model 1. You might be spending across Zillow Premier Agent, Realtor.com, Facebook leads, and 80 to 90% of your budget is spent on lead generation, leaving you with 10 to 20% to do generic follow-up or CRM drips, newsletters, that sort of thing. And it gives you an unknown CAC with a really low signal because you have very, very little chips left to play with in terms of actually wowing the leads that you have or even wowing the leads as they come into your business because all of your spend is over leveraged at the start. However, if you flip that and focus on converting the leads you already own, because you own that audience, we can actually market and advertise to them for free. So we spent 0% of our budget on actual intent discovery. We can do that by email, by phone. And then we spent 100% of our budget on converting the high intent leads and blowing them out of the water with amazing customer service, making the prospect feel so special and using that law of reciprocity so that they have no other option but to take that appointment with you. And we can do that because we've saved our budget for this moment in the step that is far more predictable and has a far more predictable outcome, allowing you to invest in it, allowing you to actually establish a customer acquisition cost. So like if you knew for every $2,500 you spent on converting your leads was going to lead to a deal, and a commission brings you 15,000, you're profiting $12,500 each time. And that's the core difference here. The money doesn't disappear, it's redeployed. And all of that is to say, because we are uncovering intent first, we can spend more to create better things rather than sending a cheap and shitty thing to everyone. We allocate smartly and send something awesome to the few who are looking to transact now. And if you make this core change in your business will explode overnight. Even the no's will sound like yeses. That is the type of experience we're trying to create here. So if you found that interesting and you are sitting on a database and you're curious how much GCI is actually inside that database, we would love for you to click the link directly beneath this video to book a free database audit where we will break down for you exactly how much GCI we predict that we can unlock using our system. If you are enjoying this content and you're starting to open your mind up to database conversion and how it's more predictable, and you're learning and you're enjoying the content, please do subscribe, like, and comment below. It really does help the channel grow, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much.